think it is too much exposure to it. And when you examine it, his name is only mentioned once in the New Testament. So put this to bed. These are dealing with spirits. Uh, you know, when you really examine Esau and Jacob, it's just a part of the history. And it's an example for us not to follow. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. It is not for us to be out there in the street corners teaching Jacob and Esau. Yes, sir. We probably be out there trying to bring people back to life with information and knowledge of the Messiah. But let's go to John 8.
Hey, Carlo, Yabashimi Ashai, Yabashimi Ashai, Barakakadas Brakatham. Double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching, enduring truth and sincerity. This for Alabama for the Nebraska campus, the GMS NE Fort Nebraska. And, getting straight to it, you've seen the audio with one body and, the demonic doctrine that's being brought forth. Okay? So, we're going to get some precepts. 1 Timothy 3:13, it says, "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them." Okay? So, he made a couple statements. This thing is so horrible in so many ways to address it, but the main thing is Esau is a part of prophecy. Edom, if you can't make the connection that Edom himself isn't a part of prophecy, then you don't know what the beast is. And if you don't know what the beast is, you shouldn't be a prophet. All right? That's the largest prophecy in the Bible, And the thing is, that's irritating, is that you want to say something's history, and again, you don't know prophecy, and just because things literally don't say Esau, literally, matter of fact, let's get that, get what the precept says. So I'm going to go to Matthew 13:13. It says, "Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which is said, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and not perceive. For this people heart is waxed gross, and their ears are full of hearing, and their eyes have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them." So the Lord don't want them. Okay, that's a clear tell sign that the Lord ain't dealing with you, is when you're saying things like that just so chronologically inaccurate to prophecy. They say that there's nothing that say anything about Esau in prophecy. When the Lord deals in prophecies, he deals with dark sayings. He deals with parables, allegories. So it's not literally going to say Esau all the time. The daughter of Babylon, the great red dragon. Okay. The whore that sitteth on the dragon. Okay. Because the book of Psalms will tell you that he calls Edom the daughter of Babylon. Line upon line, precept on precept, here a little and there a little. Okay? As the scriptures say, great men are not always wise. And I hate to say that about certain elder men, but the scriptures say it, all right? So in Job 32:9, it says, "Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged men understand judgment. Neither do the aged understand judgment." And that's not talking about all our elders, all right? That's not talking about all great men and older men, okay? Because normally the bulk of the older men are the ones that's supposed to be giving us the game. They're the elders. Even if you got a predominant figure running the show, a predominant judge. If you had Paul, Paul still had elders. All right. Even the 12 disciples, they still had elders. Okay. And they you can't just do stuff to the church without, in respect to them, because they're they keep things organized and the culture structured. Okay. But if the Lord's dealing with you, Lord's dealing with you, that trumps all that, to be frank. All right. Hold on. Now, a thing was said that cunningly said, like Esau was mentioned only 2 times in the New Testament. I didn't catch it all, just off the audio clip that was shared. But Esau being mentioned 2 times, whether it's accurate or not, I'm talking about the name Esau, Edom, things like that. But what was said? Okay, so let's look up what was said. If we type up Esau and or Edom, all right, and it was written it was written more than 2 times. But it was, we'll get to it. It's just 3. All right, so. Because we ain't gonna be petty, all right. So, but let's get into let's get into what was said about Esau. Okay, Romans 9 and 13. There's Hebrews 11 and 20. There's Hebrews 12 and 16. Okay, and Romans 9:13 it says, "As is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." Okay, so I don't care if it's written a half a time. If it said that, that's enough. All right. There is no books that need to be written. No further elaboration, please. All right. So when we go into Hebrews 11 and 20, it says, "By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning the things to come." Just going over history right there. It's a little history. But the main thing, and I believe this is the 2 he was referencing, was the Hebrews 12 and 16. It says, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright." So it's like it, man. Let's get back to it. It says, "For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." Even though this is a historical account, this is very attached to today's time. And it still applies to the day. All right. There's nothing that Esau could do to reestablish that birthright, which hence why it's on the spirit of him to fight against the Most High, because he can't get that birthright back. All right. So there is no loophole. There is no, oh, that's history. Let's not talk about that. That's so old. But what are we going to talk about then? Okay? There's no way that without talking about the kingdom of heaven and without speaking on Esau. Yeah, so once we get into the great red dragon, it's got on, it's kind of, it's crazy because I just went over this, the other day, pursuant to Revelations, the book of Revelations. All right. And you go into, Revelations chapter 12. In chapter 12 and 3, it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. Okay. So when we get into the great red dragon, and the thing is something I noticed that on the internet, when you look up Hebrew Israelites and things like that, the 7 heads and 10 horns and the NATOs will always pop up. It do not pop up for nothing anymore. But someone revised the greatmillstone.org page, so you can definitely find it there. And I have it in post-production so you can see, because, you just got to do a lot of reading and just kind of consistently reading to understand, who's who. Okay. All right. So when we get into the Great Red Dragon, of course, it says, we go to German major, German minor, Rome, France, Spanish, Hispaniola, okay, British, the Brits, and the Grecians, okay. Then those 10 horns, within that, you get those factions of West Germany, England, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Italy, France, Denmark, and Belgium. And then when you get in, and it's really good, just on my, and then for me speaking as a man, is just to go into those factions individually, the history, and seeing their influence on the world. I was just recently going into Hispaniola and Spain and Reconquista with the Moors. It has a big part to play with West African slavery, so-called West African slavery, which are Israelites. The Moors and all that. That's a very pivotal time period, and the Spaniards had a lot to play with it. Okay, and so there's a lot to it, and the horror that sit upon a dragon, pursuant to Revelation 17:1. We'll get that real quick, okay? Because all this is prophecies. That's just proof these guys don't get into it. The Lord sent the prophets to be the end, with the end, all right? And speaking of the end, we'll get that as well, because in Revelation 17 and 1, it says, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had the seven veils, and walked to me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show thee unto thee the great judgment of the whore that sitteth upon many waters. And the waters is indicative of the people. Okay, it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And her fornication is her ways, her democracy, her laws, her science, okay, GMO foods, okay, McDonald's, the culture change, all right, feminism, alphabet community, podcasting, the American way. It seeps into all these countries. All right. And, which is another lesson that these nations are starting to buck up. Okay. Because they're drunken of that wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the nations are mad. All right. And so they're starting to resist that wine and spit it out, because it comes with a cost. Okay. Esau offers you McDonald's, and now he's taking all your resources out of your land, and he's telling you how to govern it. Okay. Because you signed some type of contract or something. So now technically he owns this or that, and there's all these games, okay? And people have met the end of the road to that contract and realizing it was all BS. All right, they're starting to get into the fine print of it. Okay, so I wanted to get this, and I know it's in the Old Testament, because I don't know what type of mindset these guys are on. All right. Because when we go into 2nd Ezra chapter 6, prophecy's prophecy. Like, just because it's the New Testament, his name is only mentioned 2 times. So prophecy don't translate to the New Testament. When Yahushua was speaking and it says, as it is written, the fact that as it is written is in the New Testament, you can't sit here and try to create a split line. Like, prophecies don't translate into the New Testament. They do. And this one does as well. All right. 2nd Ezra 6:8, and says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So prophetically, we haven't reached the end of this world. All right, because New Jerusalem is the beginning of it that followeth. All right. So we haven't met that yet. So the prophecies haven't been fulfilled in Esdras. Okay, there's prophecies in all the prophetic books for the most part that haven't been fulfilled. Obadiah. Okay, it told us shall be rolled up in, Judah shall be a flame, and and Joseph for fire and Esau for stubble. Okay, that hasn't came to pass yet. So at what point does the Old Testament have no validity towards prophecy? So even if Edom was mentioned one time, all right, it don't matter. The fact that Obadiah exists, you can't tell a prophet that they can't speak on Esau. Okay? That's a part of prophecy, man. If it's a part of prophecy, you prophesy about it. You know, not Jake trying to get into the semantics. We're teachers, we're prophets, we're physicians. Okay? We're healers, we're singers. All right? We're a nation of priests. However you want to lace it up. However the hell you want to lace it up, man. But thus said the Lord, we all that, man. He sent some teachers, some evangelists. You know? So the Lord sent the whole nation out to do many offices. Okay? Because we don't have that many teachers. The teachers that we do have, they're teaching about American stuff. Any Jake that had the spirit on him to be a teacher in the kingdom, you know what I'm saying? To teach you about the laws and all that, they all into something else in the world. So the prophets, the elect, has monopolized all those skill sets. The Lord monopolized it to the elect, the 144,000, the prophets. All right? And there's certain elect that are out there that are able to do certain offices, but we're talking about like putting your hands on this ministry. That's the 144,000. So we had to inherit all the skill sets from being nurturers to being teachers, to being leaders, to being soldiers, to being scribes, to being treasurers, to being guides, all that, man. Okay, healers, medicine. We had to harbor all that because who else is going to do it? We don't have that so-called spread of stability. Okay, we have a concentrated stability, and that foundation is Yahweh Shai, and we're the bricks that's being laid on it. We can't go and say, okay, I'm not a teacher, so let me go actually get a bunch of teachers. No. The prophets are everything at this point in time. You know, but yeah, man, I just wanted to go over that, man. With that being said, we're going to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak Kodash, double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.